Today's conversation on the Virginia Investor Podcast is going to be incredible. I can feel it already. We have Phillip Thai here with us, wholesaler, flipper, sub-2 investor, and entrepreneur, and in my opinion, jiu-jitsu champion. Phillip, I'm super excited to learn about your story. Thank you for coming on the podcast.
Of course, dude. Appreciate you having me on the podcast, man.
Let's get started somewhat at the beginning, like just growing up. Like, where did you grow up? What's childhood like?
Yeah, so childhood where I grew up in Richmond, Virginia. Childhood was pretty normal, run the mill. Went to Godwin and Freeman, liked to enjoy the outdoors. I was always a person that loved playing outside, never was a person that liked to do school. I was probably a C minus, B plus kind of student. So I got kind of a lot of whoopings in my days for my not getting those perfect grade A's. And so that was my childhood, right? And just really, really stable in a sense as far as I had everything that I needed as far as food on the table, roof over my head. But my family itself, we came from, I'm firstborn generation here in the United States, and I grew up in a group home. So I saw my mom work all the way up to just poverty into medium middle class. And my parents were divorced, so I had two situations where I saw my mom as a W-2 job worker, and then my dad was a car salesman. He wasn't doing as well as my mom, which is kind of funny enough. Mm-hmm. He didn't have systems, processes. He didn't actually want to better himself when it comes down to educating himself to become a better entrepreneur. He was more depending on luck more than anything, and he would blame his circumstances externally.
Right.
My mom was definitely different. She had a steady full-time job, put food on the table, roof over our heads, and she just would always tell us what she's working towards, and that really gave me a direction of kind of move towards, have goals, have some sort of financial literacy, and then that kind of basically propelled me into my young childhood / adult life. Right. Yeah, so that's kind of how I grew up in where I was what I was doing.
Did you go to college?
So I did go to J. Sargent Reynolds here in Richmond for about a year, and I really didn't know what I wanted to do. And so during that period of time, I asked my mom to if I wanted to. I asked her hey, should I go to the military? Because I saw the recruitment center and all that stuff. Mm-hmm. And so out of all
mom said yes, go to the Marine Corps.
Well, no, I think I take that back. I can wind back here. I wanted to join the military because I didn't know what I wanted to do, and the benefits they provided was good enough to where I could take a little bit of break from school. And so out of all the branches, I had a little egotistic, thing about me where I wanted to join the best, and the Marine Corps was at that time and still is the best. But looking back on it, I probably should join the Air Force because it's way better. So I joined the military, the Marine Corps, probably a year after I joined college because I didn't know what I want to do. Mm-hmm. And then I joined in 2009 is when I joined the Marine Corps, and I was a parachute rigger in the Marine Corps.
Okay.
So I jumped out of planes, packed parachutes, serviced them, and then from there, I did free fall school, static jumps, and all that stuff. So. And then I got out of the military, but that's kind of how I got into it,
Yeah,
but my mom actually was for it, but my dad was against it.
Interesting.
Yeah, because my parents came to the United States because of the Vietnam War. They migrated from that, and my dad, I don't know if he saw death or whatever, but that's his worst case scenario is he would go to me dying in the military service.
Right. Did your mom see it as a goal that you had and supported that goal? Because typically, both of your parents are going to see that same image and be like, no, you're not going in.
Well, my mom, I think she had more of an understanding of the benefits of what it could provide for me, college, travel, and then other things. And she knew about the military too late in her career. She actually wanted to join the military because it had a lot of benefits to it, but she couldn't because of her age at the point in time. So
was your plan to go into the military and then get out and do a career, or be lifetime military, or come back and go to college after the military?
Well, it's kind of funny when I was joining the military when I was 19, you are so naive and you don't know shit about shit, honestly.
Right.
So I was just fed a bunch of lies, and I was like, cool, this is great from the recruiter, right? It's just part of marketing and sales, honestly speaking. I don't front them. I won't feel bad about it. So I went into the mindset of doing 20 years. And then when I got in, I was like, yo, this is not for me. This sucks.
Was that a boot camp? It sucks?
No. Or? It was actually probably when I first got to my first duty station. When I got to Camp Lejeune. And I was like, yeah, this is not for me. This absolutely sucks.
Yeah. So you didn't necessarily enjoy your experience, or it just wasn't for you, right?
Yeah.
The military for the most part.
Yeah.
And then how did you exit the military? What brought that about?
I'll speak to like why it wasn't for me, because I can get in more specifics.
Yep.
You know, when you're fed like these different types of benefits and features of a service, right? It's great in theory, but then when you go into the real life practice, it's a completely different beast. You have people that, dude, for example, I'll give you an example, like cleaning all the time. I like why am I cleaning all the time? It's like kind of like helicopter, like being like someone's helicoptering you, macromanaging you. I absolutely hate that, because you don't have the autonomy to do what you need to do. So that was like a lot of different reasons. And then the things that they had me do, like as far as like the needs of the Marine Corps is what they say, right? And then like they would do some crazy stuff. Like I wanted to get Okinawa, Japan for my first duty station, because I really wanted to. The main premise of me joining the military was to travel far away from Virginia, but I got North Carolina, so I'm like, okay, sweet, awesome. One state down. So I want to get Okinawa, but they were hyping me up like I would get that, and then they just like kind of like, no, you're not getting that. It's like Dream Crusher. So I'm like, all right, this is kind of what it is. So like those are the specifics, and rooming with like people that were like kind of smelly and stinky, don't take showers, is kind of like another thing that I'm not a fan of, right? So that's like some of the reasons why it just wasn't for me. And kind of how I exited was, I'll tell you a story in regards to how this all came about. In the military, I had possessions and distribution of a controlled substance, and if people that want to know, it's Molly, MDMA, and then mushrooms, just magic mushrooms. And it's kind of funny how these two compounds today are being shown to help with medical situations for other people. So I was selling that to different Marines on different bases, Camp Lejeune and then Cherry Point, North Carolina. And then I deployed. I was still selling that on deployment, just because I brought some, just because, just in case. And then when I came back from deployment, I got a random text, and I was probably about a month out before my EAS, which is me exiting the Marine Corps. And this is like a very like clear point, and a point that I want to make is like, when I got that text message, I logically told myself this would be the last transaction I'll do, but my gut told me you shouldn't do this.
Interesting.
So like I've now looked back on my life, I'm like, okay, listen to your gut feeling, because there's something about that the human logic will never know about. Kind of like intuition. So I ignored my gut feeling, and then I was like, okay, how much do you want? He's like, 20 pills. I'm like, that's great. And then he gave me a meetup point. And then I was like, cool. So I was driving, like I think it was the next day or the day after, I was driving to the location, the meetup spot. And when I got there, it was an abandoned like Waffle House, I think that's what it was. And like my gut then told me like, you shouldn't be here. Right. I'm like, nah, this is the last thing. Like I'm already here already, right? And so what I did was, instead of like fully listening to it, I kind of listened to it, and I drove across the street to a new meetup point that I chose. And then I texted the guy, I'm like, hey, I'm actually over here now. And so when I got to that location, a few minutes later, probably like 10, 15 minutes later, there was a car that came up with some of those old Ford sedans that, I forget what they were called, but it was blacked out windows, and it came up and it parked right next to me. And the parking spots were like diagonal. Mm-hmm. And so I didn't think too much of it. And so when the person that came to pick up the Molly, I'm like, okay, we did exchange. We said no words in my car. And as he walked out, I started to drive out of this parking lot where the intersection's right here. And I drove out, a cop car pulls right in front of me. And I personally thought it was for that guy, not for me. And I didn't put it all together. It was a setup. And then the car right next to me, it's kind of like in slow motion, honestly speaking. Mm-hmm. I was just like watching everything in slow motion. Right. And the guy next to me, he blocks my entrance to my left. So I can't take a left or I can't go straight. So I'm basically boxed in. And it's obviously a cop that comes out of the car, opens my car door. And I'm looking at this all in slow motion. I just still can't believe this is happening to me. Mm-hmm. I'm not registering. And he puts my car in park and then brings me out of my car. And then he handcuffs me, puts me on the side of the curb. And then they searched my car. They ended up finding an ounce of mushroom in there. And then from there, I had to make some arrangements for my car. And then they took me to Cherry Point, North Carolina, and where I got interrogated for the next 3 to 4 hours. And it was through NCIS, Naval Criminal Investigation Services. So I'm in this cell for the last like 4 hours, and I just basically confessed, like, yeah, it's kind of like at this point, like I should have gotten an attorney, but I was like, yeah, fuck it, I'm already here. By the time, I didn't know what time it was. I had no idea, like, basically, like, anything. And so they called my chain of command, and my master's, I think my gunny sergeant comes pick me up with his OC, with his officer, and they were just fucking furious. They were just exuding hate. And on top of that, we had a mission the next morning. So it was like 4 a.m. and it's like 12 a.m. basically they're picking me up, and 4 hours later they got to do a mission. And dude, it's been a crazy ride. And then when I get back to the barracks, I have to be in a different room. And then like the next night, I'm basically checking out of all my units and with an escort. And then I get thrown into the brig, which is military confinement for the audience. At this point in time, you know, like when you go into military confinement, you're basically stripped down naked. They obviously check for any contrabands or whatever. And then you're thrown into like a cell, what you would normally see in like on the movies. It's stainless steel, a toilet and a desk, and then you have a bed with a thin pad, and it's super cold in there. At this point, I'm like still thinking I'm gonna wake up from a dream, but obviously that dream never comes. And one thing that I do like to, I guess, pat myself on the back is like, by the second day or night, I forgave you can say, the setup. Basically, I was like, you know what, it doesn't serve me holding on to all the guilt, shame, anger, all the negative emotions. It doesn't serve me at this point in time, so I'll just let it go. And military confinement, it's kind of crazy because you'll have other people also in there for different types of situations. I would say a few days later, I get into Gen Pop, Gen Pop, and I talk to other military folks that are in there, and I end up asking, like, you know, when is my attorney supposed to come? Oh, they're like, oh, you're supposed to have an attorney already. I'm like, oh, really? Yeah. Oh, well, shit, I don't have one here. So I end up asking other, like, it was funny because I end up talking to like a staff sergeant, an E6 in the military. He's like, yo, I use this private attorney, Mr. Kopka. And I'm like, okay, cool. So I end up just calling him and seeing if he would come and see me take my case. This guy was like 20 grand, by the way. And to give you more context, I was actually looking at a general court martial. So in the rank of things, that for your audience to understand, like I would say a local will be like we call it, what do we call it? I kind of escaped the name now, but like locally, it would be dealt with the company. That's like your local. We call it ninja punching, a ninja punch. I don't know if you guys, you don't. So it's like local is like more like your county, and then you have state, and then you have federal. I was looking at a federal level of punishment, so I needed to bring that down to a state level because the maximum sentences was a year, instead of the minimum sentence was like a year, and then it had no max, right? So as far as time is concerned, that 20 grand was going to be put to good use. So I ended up selling my car and all that stuff, and sold a lot of stuff, and essentially just to pay for the attorney's fee. And then I pled guilty, and I then got my sentence cut down short for a year. So I've already had pretrial confinement. I've already served maybe like 2 to 3 months at this point before my trial. And going to trial was probably really scary just because there was so much nerves. I was like blacking out in the courts, the judge, and I got my sentence, and then, you know, off I go. I got transferred, and then I went to Chesapeake, Norfolk military confinement to serve the rest of my time.
Interesting. And so you had a year total, roughly?
I had about 11 months with 11 to 12, 11 months actually. 11 months because I had good service or good behavior, and then I went to different rehab programs like AA and other things that. Just
to back up a little, like I'm assuming like a relatively good kid is you know, growing up, and then you go into the Marine Corps. Was it really the like disinterest of the Marine Corps that caused you to get distracted and start doing this activity? Like, what do you think? What do you think caused that?
Actually, this funny is I'm an open book, but I don't want to it's kind of in the past. Well, I will say that a family member of mine was like kind of also doing it, so I wanted to help.
So you had some influence.
Yeah, some influence. That direction. Yeah, in that direction. Making money was actually really easy. Making money, honestly, just pushing pills and selling drugs. I mean, it's probably the easiest freaking thing ever. I would assume so. Yeah. But the worst consequences.
Right. When you get out, right? So you serve your time, and now
Yeah.
there's probably other things that you have to go through to prove that like you're good to go.
Sure.
Where are you at mentally? Like, what are you thinking about life at this point?
Dude, funny enough, like I'll give you the mindset between when I was in it and then after, because that kind of gives you some lights in regards to it. In the military confinement, it's actually really simple. It's like you have no worries. It's like you wake up on a schedule, you do your thing, you do workout, and you eat good food, and then like you're done. Like, and just to give you more context, military confinement is like adult babysitting. It's like super fun actually. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it like it's hard. It was super easy. And I try to find religion in there, trying to find God. I mean, I try to find all kinds of stuff. I read books on self-improvement, self-help, and all that stuff. So I spent a lot of time like, actually doing self-improvement. Right. So in a sense, it was really easy. No bills, no nothing. And when I got out, when I was released, I mean, obviously you want nothing more for freedom when you're in there. When you get out, it's like, well, shit, I have all these problems. I have all these bills. I have to own up. I had to go back home and face the music. And it's a completely different story. And I'm going back to the place that I came from 4 years ago. So that was a huge hurt when it came down to, like me thinking I'll join the military, going somewhere, and then 4 years later, 5 years later, I'm like, oh, I'm in the same freaking spot as I was. So that was a huge crushing, like, mental blow. And so that kind of sunk in, and my mom was telling me, like, basically, don't tell anybody. If they don't ask, like, don't tell anybody. Just make it up. Yeah. And the worst part of it is, too, as well, like, I had to lie to my dying grandfather while in the military, or in the confinement, because he thought I was deployed.
Interesting.
Out of the whole situation, that stung the most out of everything, because I had to lie to my grandfather that I was on his dying bed. And yeah, that sucked completely tremendously. So going back home, super depressed, basically coming back in, I thought I was a failure. I had all this guilt, shame, and like no one understood, basically. I had nobody to talk to. So I basically was on a lonely island by myself. But I learned a lot of things in regards to how to combat that by reading the books that I've read. Like one of them was like working out, obviously. Working out, getting a job, start making goals. Right. So you can kind of go towards some sort of happiness. Right. But the thing is, those short-lived goals are just short-term happiness. And it doesn't last very long. Right. So I was going through that for like the last 18 months. I was living in my mom's basement. Like I literally went 4 years, 5 years, didn't go anywhere. Yeah.
What did your day look like? Like what did your day-to-day look like at that point?
My day-to-day looked like was I had a restaurant serving job. I was a waiter. Actually, Mom's I am too, if you guys are in Richmond. Nice. Good location, good spot, good food. I was working there for a bit. And I was going to school as part-time because I still had a little bit of my GI Bill because I wasn't fully discharged yet. So I was really trying to milk what I had left. And so I was going to school for computer science, software engineer. And, like I didn't think too much of it. It's ECPI and I was technical school. I was trying to really fast track instead of going to a 4-year college. Right. And so that's what I ended up doing. So it was working, school, and working out. That was my main thing. I wasn't talking to any girls because I just felt like a fucking loser. Yeah. And so that was my life for the last 2 years.
Working out at the gym, like a standard Globo gym.
Oh, actually AC on Short Pump. Yeah, I was doing there, and that was my life for the last 2 years.
And you figured were you actively working your way out of a depressed state? Like, did you recognize you were depressed and in this state and you needed to find a way out of it, so you found working out? Yeah. Like, is that kind of how you dug out of it?
Well, no, actually, I knew I was depressed, and I knew depression has its own symptoms for everybody, but for me, low energy, low motivation, just not happy about life. And I knew that I needed to occupy my mind somehow, so that I'm not stuck in this loop. And I found working out, learning, and all that stuff as a source of it. But I would set goals in the gym, and I would hit those goals, and it would just be like, okay, cool, what's next? Right. And then I would graduate. I'm like, well, okay, well then what's next? I don't want to be alone with myself. It's basically what I was trying to avoid. And after I graduated, I got an internship, and I got a full-time job, which had a little bit of happiness to my life, but like again, it's always short lived. And so I needed to find time at night to fill in that void, to fill in that part where I don't want to be with myself. And at the time, like all my support group was actually moving away. They're like, I had nobody. I was like basically a lone person. And so what I did was I did jujitsu when I was in high school. And then I was like, you know what? I'm just going to pick jujitsu back up just on a whim. Right. And I was going to do a 1 week trial, and I was like, okay, I'm done. Right. And so Nora, the person that was at the front desk at that time, she, after my first week was up, she's like, I was walking out the door. She's like, do you want to sign up? I'm like, yeah, I'll sign up, whatever. So if she didn't ask me that question, I just would have walked out that door and like been gone on my merry way. So I ended up signing up, and then I realized probably about a month, 2 months in, that a community of people will help you out of depression.
Yep.
Yeah. Like that's been like my main like takeaway from all the depression and the pain that I've gone through, is that, and what's great about jiu-jitsu itself is like people don't even care your background. You're just here to roll, have a good time, and just it's completely a different model, right? And I would say to your audience, like whatever it is for you, if you like, pottery, if you like, running, run with a group of people, run with the community, like people that don't care from your background, they just care that you're here to improve and get better every day.
Right.
Yeah.
Do you think that the BJJ community, along with like finding other purpose, because now you're like, you've graduated, you have a job and stuff like that, but that community helped like bring you out of that, like
100%.
And I look at like, I think it's probably easy to get depressed when you had a purpose and then you don't have a purpose, right? And you had a purpose you believed in, or you had some ambition you believed in, and then it's gone.
Yeah.
Right. And then so when you find another purpose, very much easier said than done.
Yeah. 100%.
Right. Because like once something is stripped of you that you were so passionate about, it's very hard to get back in the game after that and find something that you're equally or more passionate about, right? You mentioned these other things were great, but they were like short-term victories.
Yeah.
Where jiu-jitsu is not a short-term victory. It's like the further you go in it is like the more you realize you don't know, right?
Yeah,
and the more you
exactly.
want to keep learning, right?
Yeah.
And the culture is incredible. So many different types of people from different backgrounds, different beliefs, different ages and genders and everything, just all getting in there and trying to get better.
Yep.
And you're in that community, and you're in a community where it's a really fun community, a really fun sport to play, and a really challenging sport to play.
Exactly.
Where you are just being pushed to get better every time you walk in that gym.
Yeah.
Which is awesome that you were able to motivate yourself to get up and go to that gym, because that itself, in the stage that you're in, it's hard to even get out the door, right? It's hard to do something new or go back to something you used to do.
Right.
And you were able to motivate yourself to go back and at least give it a shot for a week.
Yeah.
And maybe I wonder if you would have thought there was like a guaranteed longer term commitment, would you have started?
Like as far as like, hey, you gotta, in order for you to start, you gotta do the 1 year.
Because you just had to commit to a week.
Yeah.
Like, do you think you would have been able to commit to something longer?
I think so, because at that point I was actually trying to find a solution for my problem.
Awesome.
Right, instead of just being a victim to my problem.
Awesome. Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, I'm like, everybody wants to get better, but do you actually want to get better?
Right.
Right. Do you have enough pain to become better?
Right.
Is what I look at it.
While we're talking about jiu-jitsu, just real quick, like that's still ongoing, and you've been doing competitions and stuff, maybe not as much now, but you've been doing really high level competitions, and you're what belt? The purple, brown belt?
I'm a black belt now.
Black belt. Oh, I need to keep up. Man, you're moving quick. Yeah. So me and you, I think honestly, I think maybe the first time that we talked was in the gym.
Purple. Yeah.
And it was years ago, right?
Yeah,
and I remember someone was like, yo, he's in real estate. And I looked at him and then like I roll with you and just got my butt freaking handed to me. I'm like, all right, well, and I remember that. And I've been tracking your progress. I did not know you were a black belt, which is congratulations, man.
Thanks, man.
But for those who don't do jiu-jitsu, I mean, that takes 10 years relatively. Like you take 8-10 years to get with your dedication and your consistency and your competitions that you were competing in. Probably got it a little bit sooner.
Yeah, I got in 7.
Yeah. Also like in great shape, like taking care of yourself, have a great attitude.
Yeah.
So man, congratulations on that.
Man.
That's awesome. So you're putting yourself in better positions. You're getting stronger mentally, physically. How did you find real estate, and why was that the right move?
When I was going to work, like a software engineering job, I got my job working downtown, and like obviously everybody has this thought that comes across their minds, like I don't want to be doing this for the next 20-30 years, if you do have that thought. Well, that came to me, and I told my parents how my mom works for the next 20-30 years. I'm like, I don't want to do what she does. It's great and all. and basically a job will always be here in a sense. So I end up, doing one does to start Googling, and I end up finding 3 different industries, or I thought about 3 different industries that would never go out of business as long as humans are around. First one was food. We got to all eat, and I'm not a good cook, so I'm like, I'm not gonna be opening a restaurant, and they have horrible margins, by the way. Next was clothing, and I'm like, I'm not a designer, nor do I want to be a designer. And then the last one was shelter, which is housing. And my mom has a couple of properties, but she would always tell me that she would never make any money off of them. And I was like, I wonder why. And so I ended up digging into real estate and Googling and all that stuff, and found out like a lot of millionaires have real estate of some sort. And that led me down to more ads, getting fed ads. And one thing led to another. I went down to a funnel, and that funnel was fortune builders for the first time. And I went to their first in-person, like free, more information, and then I end up being paid. I've been paying like $100 for the next 2-day workshop, and that 2-day workshop is when they pitch you like a $30,000 education. And so, like me not knowing anything about real estate, I knew that I don't know real estate, so I need to know real estate in order for me to not make those poor decisions, bad judgment calls. And so this is where I coined the term from Alex Hormozy, ignorance tax. I had to pay down my ignorance tax. And so it was a very scary moment, honestly speaking. I had like about $20,000 at the time in my account. I could finance the education through a down payment of $8,000 and the rest on credit cards.
Interesting.
And so that's what I did. So, I mean, it's a decision that was not easy made. And how I made that decision was I looked into the fact where I put myself in the future on my deathbed. That whole scenario where if you're looking at your deathbed, would you regret this decision in the moment of your time? And the answer was yes, because I can always, if I fail real estate, I can always go back to get a job, honestly speaking. And so that made my decision a lot more easier, but it was never an easy decision to make because there's a lot of doubts involved when you're not, if you just got out of depression, there's going to be doubts right afterwards. All right. So I had that going on in my head, but I had a good enough support where, for my mom and my brother, that they were on board, so it was basically on me. However, I was the only person doing the business, not them.
Right.
Yeah. So that's what made me join real estate, was the idea of like not working a full-time job in the next 20, 30 years, trying to find some passive way of making money, and then, or just being my own boss, honestly speaking, and then hopefully have a family in the next decade or so after that.
Do you think that course was worth it?
I think it was worth it because it taught me a lot of things that I did not know about real estate, and it taught me basically the ins and outs of real estate all in one platform. Now, you get mixed reviews. It's just a matter of who you're talking to, right, and based on if they actually go and do the work.
100%.
Right.
Yeah.
So it really is that.
Right. Was it geared towards wholesaling, rentals, flips, or just
flips? It was mostly geared towards flips, but there's a lot of, you can say, strategy they've already added in their course that you would realize, it's also you can do wholesale.
How to find the deals.
Yeah, how to find deals. Yeah. Basically how to run a real estate company from A to Z.
Right.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So that was my first mentorship, you can say.
Right. And that was 2017, and you got your first deal in 2018.
Yeah.
And that was a wholesale deal?
That was from a wholesaler, yeah. I was from a wholesale deal.
Did you flip it?
I flipped it.
Okay.
So I'll speak to that real quick, because that full year is me just doing my 9-to-5 job, and then right afterwards I would learn and study at night, and then I would literally have mentorship calls, and they'll basically tell me what to do. It's either learn or go to a networking event. Mm-hmm. And at the time, as a software engineer, I'm an introvert, by the way. I'm like naturally introverted. And so me going to talk to people, strangers, and go meet up at this random place, it's terrifying because I have like no idea what I'm talking about. Like I'm just learning, and I'm just like, okay, cool. And what I would speak to that is like, if you guys feel the same way, and if you have the same like introvertness, I would say what got me out of it was my goal. Is your goal big enough to, kill your bullshit, basically, right?
Yep.
Is your why enough to make you cry?
Right.
Right. If it's not, then you're not there yet. So for me, my why was to start a family by 35 and have financial independence. And if that's not big enough to get me out of my own personal bullshit, then right, I don't know what is.
I love that you point that out. There was a few years ago, I was training for the military special operations. To point out, I was not in the military. I was not in special operations, but I was training for it.
Right.
Long story behind that. But part of that was I wasn't a big fan of heights.
Yeah.
And so like I literally would put myself in positions that were terrifying on purpose.
Yeah.
And I would go to the Grand Canyon per se and get as close to the edge as I could and stand there for as long as I could, back up and then stand there a little bit longer. Right.
Like
and just try to absorb that and get me mentally stronger. And then we, would hike through the canyon stuff. And then we'd go through, I forget the name of it, but there was like iron rungs on the sides of cliffs that you have to climb and clip into and stuff. It's in West Virginia. It's actually really cool.
Cool.
But me and my now wife, either fiance or girlfriend at the time, like did that, and it's hundreds of feet up off a sheer cliff face. And I was terrified, but I was like, what's bigger, the fear or the goals? And you had to compare the two and confront the two and say, if you're not willing to do this, I'm not willing to hit these goals.
Yeah.
Like, I'm trying to be in special operations.
Right.
And if I can't sit on the side of this cliff, dude, you're never going to make it. So are you going to let this stop you, or are you going to be in special operations? And you got to choose one.
Yeah.
Right. And so that's really cool. One, that you point out, hey, I'm not just cruising for the first year until I get my first deal, or however many months it was. I'm working full time, and then you're getting off that. You're eating when you can, and you're working, you're studying, you're out there networking, which is uncomfortable. And you had these fears that you had to confront, and you had to put the two next to each other and say, is my goal more important than this fear? And you chose the goal, which is 100%. Awesome.
And also, I would add pain. Are you enough pain to move yourself?
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
If it's too comfortable over here, you have no reason to move closer to that goal.
Yeah. Living in my mom's basement and having nothing was a good enough pain for me. I don't get the hell out of here.
Right. Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
You're potentially going to some networking groups. You're studying with this course that you paid up for, this mentorship group that you've signed up for. They're kind of holding your hand. How are you looking? You found the deal from a wholesaler?
Yeah.
Did you meet the wholesaler at a meetup?
We were actually in the same Fortune Builders networking group.
Awesome.
And the thing is, honestly, when I started real estate, I was so stupid. I didn't know about marketing and sales. I had no idea. And plus the coaches that I had, I mean, they're great and all, but they didn't actually tell me to focus on that. They just told me to learn and then just meet. What I should have done is ask better questions, but I didn't know how to ask better questions then.
Right.
Because I didn't know what I didn't know.
It's a learn. You got to learn how to ask good questions.
Yeah, exactly. Sure. And so I didn't know it was a marketing game and a follow-up game the whole time. I was like, oh, what the heck?
Yeah. I sent the mailers. Why is no one calling?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I wasted a lot of money on marketing because I had no idea what to do. And so I was frustrated at this point in time because I was really eager to get a deal. And so my buddy had a deal that he didn't want to do. And didn't want to flip, and so he sold it to me. It was a fire damaged property. I don't recommend this as your first fix and flip. As anybody, if they're looking to fix and flip, don't do this. It was fire damaged property, didn't have a roof on it. It was vacant, had squatters. It had the whole nine on that. And so that one project taught me so much, and that's a whole saga in itself. First flip, I had a job and I had to do this. I had to go through permitting, I had to go through all these different things. I get a loan, and I was so eager to take this on, so I took it on. And to kind of give you the general idea of what happened, I don't want to go on the details because it's pretty
significant.
Yeah, it's significant, right? So I have a hard money loan on it, 1 year, and super excited in the very beginning. And so did the permits, did all the plans, architecturally speaking, and it's built in 1900, so it needed a lot of work. Had to put a new roof on there. Had to redo the whole layout. Contractors stole from me. People stole from me, actual people that actually went and put the wire in for the permitting or for the rough in. That was gone a few days later after it was installed. Had to redo that. Then had a stop work order on it where I had to dig out the crawl space because the floor joist was in the dirt. And so I had to dig that out. And then once they saw that, the city saw that, they put a stop work order because I had to put new foundational pillars underneath the house, which is in sync. So that was a whole thing. And then I had to fire my contractors. And then I had squatters in there.
Jeez.
And then I was almost coming up on my loan because I thought I was going to get foreclosed on. And then I got fired from my job. And then the last man was able to give up. My buddy ended up letting me borrow his contractors. And they ended up finishing it probably about a month. It was like a shell. They finished it in a whole month. I was super stoked about it. And then after they finished it, I was super relieved. I got my realtor on there. He sold it within 48 hours of asking price. And then I broke even, but it saved my ass. And I also had to build it smaller. Like I had it for a 2-bedroom, 2.5, and then I made it a 3-bedroom, 2.5. Now I had to make it to a 2-bedroom, 2.5.
Right.
But the market saved me because during that time was like kind of coming up to COVID.
Right.
Not COVID. It was basically the market was coming
It's
up.
a good time to make a mistake.
Yeah. That whole like trial and tribulation was like a lot for me. But at the end of the day, like when I got fired, I'm like, okay, perfect. I have enough time to work on this project now. My sole focus is like just getting this thing done and not going to bankruptcy.
Right.
So that was it. And then after that, like after someone knows you do your first deal, like I started getting more deals. Like the next 4 deals were basically like fed to me in a sense.
Right. It's a momentum thing that I've seen is like once people see that you're active and can do a deal, you keep getting deals.
Yeah.
So you don't have a job at this point.
I don't.
You're full-time in real estate. You've got a few more deals going through that momentum that we're talking about.
Right.
It's crazy that you keep going after this first deal in the first place. Like that you're not like, okay, maybe real estate isn't for me.
Yeah.
But you decide, hey, I don't have a job. Let's go. I broke even on that. Probably a lot of lessons learned.
Yeah,
like
100%.
get the right team in place and buy in certain areas or protect your assets somehow. And then you're like, let's go ahead and do 4 more. And so you roll through 4 more. How are you feeling at this point?
So those 4 more, like out of the 4, it was like probably, I would say 3 out of the 4 were full guts still. And full guts are not fun. They're just not fun. And just working through contractors, and after completing all 4, I was like completely burnt out. And during this time, like in the middle of all this, I actually applied for a new job too as well, because I knew I was burning a lot of cash that I could not afford, and plus the monthly interest payments. I'm like, okay, I need to get a job to pay for these things. And so I ended up getting another job, and I worked at Luckstone for a little bit.
Okay.
So I love Luckstone. Their business model is freaking crazy. And so after the 5th one, like after all said and done, I took a little bit of a break. The reason why I took a little break is I was burnt out because I had to use so much cash to buy properties. I just like thought or just felt like there was a better way of buying properties, and lo and behold, Pace kind of showed up on my feed, Pace Morby, and I was like, oh, what's subject to? And basically jumping on like opt in my information and jumped onto a sales call, and then I got sold. I'm like, okay, cool. And the price at the point in time was like only $7,500. I'm like, oh, this is nothing. This is
way less than $30,000.
Yeah, this is easy. Yeah. Swipe my credit card, okay, and then
not my money.
Yeah, it's it was so like I guess a mind check, because I was like, oh, $30,000, this is $7,000. I'm like, okay, this is all this, and it's a lifetime thing. I'm like, this is a great deal. So I ended up doing that, and I'm learning how to buy a property subject to, and then from there it kind of gave me more energy, revitalized my whole mindset, and then I ended up buying more property subject to, and then obviously met my partner that way too as well.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So subject to, explain that.
So subject to is simply taking over someone's mortgage. You're not assuming them, you're just taking it over. So by taking over, well, let me go backwards. Assuming is you go through a process with a bank, and you got to go through paperwork and all that stuff. Where taking over, you just take over their mortgage through, you can do a legal instrument. I use a land trust to do it. And then I just get their login and password, and I just basically pay their mortgage. I set up my auto draft and I just pay them.
Right.
Yeah.
What does the conversation look like, or what does the situation look like where subject to would make sense?
So, for example, this one property that we bought, this lady lived in Newport News, and she had to drive to Virginia Beach for her job. And she just bought the property. She's a veteran. And that tunnel is a pain in the ass, because if you hit at the wrong time, you're going to be there for hours on end. And so she was just so tired of going through the traffic and tunnel, and like she was spending like 4 hours a day just through traffic. And at that point in time, she's like, I'm done with this property. I need to move closer to my job. And so she was like, hey, do you want to buy this property? And how I got the property was through Facebook groups. I just posted like, hey, I'm looking to buy properties. And she ended up messaging me, lo and behold, and understood her situation. And she's like, I can't sell a property because I just bought it and I have to pay out of my pocket just to sell it. So she didn't want to come out of pocket just to sell their property. So I'm like, hey, how about give you money to take over your mortgage? And she's like, yeah, I'll do that all day. And then that's how it came about. And I'm basically renting it out right now to a tenant that pays me $3,200 a month. So that was a way easier transition for her, because she had money to move and she had to come out of pocket, and it was just easier for her to do. And then plus, on top of that, I'm building her credit at the same time, because I'm making those mortgage payments on time every month. So it helps her.
How do you speak to the risks of the person who holds that mortgage?
Yeah. So the risk here are that one of the objections is like, how can I get another loan for another house, right? Since she's used a VA, we can always sign a lease, right? And then have that as like cancels her DTI, her debt to income ratio. Furthermore, the other objection is default. What if I default? I'm like, that's the best thing that could ever happen to you. And here's the reasons why, because I made all these improvements. I paid all the taxes. I maintenance it like a business. If I default, then I give you the property back. And you can do this all over again if you wanted to. So I literally try to make it risk-free for them as much as possible and resolve all of the objections that they might have, just so they feel really comfortable in it. And they can have my phone number too as well. They can message me anytime they want to in regards to whatever it is about the property. But I haven't heard from her since like 3 years now.
Interesting.
Yeah. And she's enjoying her life.
Yeah.
So like she doesn't have an issue.
Right. And you mentioned you found your partner
Yeah.
at that point too. How did you find your partner, and why did you think that was a good fit?
Yeah, so Sub 2, the community, they have like community calls and accountability calls, right? And so at that point in time, I was kind of fed up and burnt out, and I was basically being vulnerable in where I was at and the services that I could provide. Like I have MLS access, I have underwriting skills, I have all these different things. If anybody needs me or wants me to help them out with whatever deal they have, feel free to reach out. And so on the Zoom call, a guy named Robert Lee reached out to me, and we end up basically, talking and then meeting up and then just kind of get a vibe check. And funny enough, like this guy is a beast. This guy has been he just started wholesaling when I joined Sub 2 because of COVID just basically hit.
Right.
And like his whole business model, when he came from the nonprofit meditation space. And so he had to pivot to something, and he pivoted into real estate of all things, wholesaling. And he went all in on his business. And he just basically was a marketing machine and sales machine. And so he would get all these different deals. He would wholesale them, and then he would then have some for rentals and have some for fixing and flipping. And that's where I came in, where I had all the experience of doing renovations. And then that's where we kind of met. As far as he does the marketing sales, I'll do the project management for the rentals, property management too as well, and for the fixing and flips. So the whole from 2020 to 2022, we just went hard on marketing, flipping, wholesaling, and then rentals as well. Like it was such a beautiful partnerships, and we're still partners now. So that's the person that actually scaled my business. It scaled me out of my job, my second job, like in July 21st, 2021. I was able to quit my job because I was making so much money on flipping and then rentals, where I was like, this doesn't make sense for me to have 8 hours here. I'd rather just put it in this business.
Right.
Yeah.
That's awesome, because you did it at scale. I mean, you guys did a lot.
Yeah.
Did a lot of transactions. And let's talk about, like, you had a partner that was able at finding. Where you guys, what kind of methods were you using to find deals, generally speaking?
So we mainly did direct mail, SMS, and then cold calling.
Okay.
Those are the three channels that we did. And then eventually down the road, we did PPC, pay-per-click, Google ads, Facebook ads, all that stuff. But for the main part, the traditional methods still work.
Right.
Yeah, it's just a matter of volume.
Right.
Spending a lot of money.
And especially in this market.
Yeah.
As far as like wholesaling versus flipping versus rentals, was that basically just based on the numbers of the deal? Like what made the most sense?
Yeah, most likely. If we had enough spread on, let's say, a 6-figure flip, we would obviously flip it, maximize it. And then if it was a rental, it was more like, do we buy it low enough, and is it already in good shape? Can we rent it out? Normally I like to do a rule of like 2 to 3 flips equal a rental.
Okay.
But in this particular point in time, we're just trying to stack cash because interest rates was low, and just like
Right.
it was just like a frenzy.
Right. So, did you have an epiphany at some point? Because cash can be really attractive.
Yeah.
Did you have an epiphany at some point that, like, hey, this rental game is pretty smart?
Yeah. I had it in the very beginning in 2019.
Right.
And I wanted to buy rentals, acquire more rentals, because it's just nothing's really passive in real estate. It's just
For sure.
less work.
Right.
And so we started acquiring, ones and twosies here and there, and we started to accumulate a portfolio that was pretty nice. And then we just have that portfolio today. And the rest we just fixed and flipped and wholesale. Nothing too crazy. Honestly, it's just like a regular operations per se. And as far as if you're wholesaling, you're probably going to want to fix and flip, and because you see the grass is green on that side, but it's really not. It's just more management involved. And then you have rentals as well. There was grass is green on the other side. It's kind of not. at the same time too as well. So you obviously know.
Right.
Yeah.
What kind of financing were you working with? Private money,
Yeah.
hard money, or were you able to start funding them yourself?
So we always leverage hard money,
Okay.
private hard money loans. We have a lender here. He's super cool. His name is Chris, and we end up finding him through networking as
Okay.
well. So, I mean, he funds all of our deals. He's been funding the last like probably 40, 50 flips and projects. So like he's made money off of us. We love him. Super easy to work with. Send him an email, and then he's like approved yes or no,
Right.
and then we're good. All right,
Yeah.
we're done.
The best thing in the world is when you've done like 10 or more transactions with the
Yeah.
same lender,
Yeah.
and you already know the paperwork, the documents, and like the same team in place. Everyone, like even the GC team, just knows to
Yeah.
get rolling. Like
Yeah.
everything just falls into place, and they just hop on it.
It's
Property's
super
done,
easy.
you're back into it.
Super easy.
Did you scale your team when you were scaling operations, or was it
Yeah.
just you and Robert just getting after it?
We scaled our team to 24 VAs.
Awesome.
So it was obviously a huge personnel thing. And what I like about Robert, he was in charge of that. The culture that he developed was super amazing because it's more of a responsibility culture. Like you take responsibility for your stuff. Because from top down, we would do that. And what's different about Robert is that in partnerships, I feel like it's like probably the underrated thing because people will love to get into partnerships and they have like all the lovey-dovey feelings in the beginning and they get like a document together and it's like, oh shit, now it's legit. And they don't see when the shit hits the fan, like how people react. And for me, Robert came from a space of self-development, mindfulness, and meditation space. So he's very aware of himself and his inclinations, his shortcomings. And then with that, like I wasn't as developed as a person as when it came down to like my own inclinations and like how my shortcomings. And he would point these shortcomings out as personal development feedback. And I would take that and I would like literally meditate, self-reflect on those different things. And I understood where those would come from, like as a childhood perspective, because everything in your life right now as an adult, like for me, what I found is like it stems from childhood, all the trauma, and it kind of presents itself in the present, your adult present life on either self-sabotage, unworthiness, how you react to certain things, how things trigger you. It's all from childhood. And if you're able to suss that out and if you're able to work on those triggers or those scars, it helps you so much in your adult life.
So you guys were in the same group,
Yeah.
but didn't necessarily have like some long, incredible history before you became partners.
No.
How was he allowed to give you that feedback and you not take it offensively? Like, is that your personality? Is it the way it was delivered? Is it the partnership as a
it's
whole?
deliverable. Well, the thing is, like, it's over time, right? So, like, for example, no one's going to give you straight feedback right off the jump if they don't know you. It's over a working relationship. And I would say after building trust and rapport, right, knowing that the other partner is not trying to steer you wrong or try to do one up on you. Also, the deliverability is also where he is at. He delivered it very, very well to where it's like, hey, are you open to feedback? I'm not going to say no to that. Like, yes, I am open to feedback. What you got for me? And then you also preface it like agreements. Like as man to man, I think we should have a circle of people that actually give you real feedback, honest feedback to make you a better person. If you don't have that circle, it's like, I cannot believe I have not had that circle of my entire life up until this person, because this person is basically here to make you better.
Right.
That's all their purpose is. And even if they stick their neck out for you, like to get chopped, like with your ego and backlash, I think a person's able to withstand that and is able to understand, like, I'm going to stick my neck out here just so I can help you.
Right.
That's the energy that he was having towards me. So I mean, I had to reciprocate, like, yeah, what you got? It's
sad that a lot of people will go through life listening to other people say good things about them, and they'll never get honest feedback. Yeah. And that happens a lot in the entrepreneurial space because you're the boss. Yeah. Right. And you you choose the team that you surround yourself with. And if you surround yourself with people that say all your ideas are great and you're the best thing that ever happened to this industry, right? Like, it's just, you're going to make some terrible decisions and then you're going to wonder what happened. Yep. As a real estate investor, as an entrepreneur, I think it's incredibly important to have partners or teammates or just mentors or people in your circle that will tell you that you should think differently about something. And of course, like, deliver it the right way and stuff like that. But like, to want you to win is what it comes down to. You have a team that actually wants you to win, or teammates that actually want you to win as a person, 100%. And they're willing to kind of stick their neck out and help you. I think that's awesome that your partner was willing to do that. And then I would assume like that just strengthens the partnership so much more. It allows it to be so much more productive.
It does. And then we have other people in the same type of space too as well, like other partners, Dwight and Kay. They're all in the same mindset. Like we can give each other feedback whenever we see it, which is like super rare.
Right.
And something about that, I think in the beginning, like your ego will rage against it. And then over time, when you see the improvements, you're like, dude, what else you got for me? Like,
give me more.
Yeah, give me more so I can improve. If you're that type of person, that is, right?
It can, if you allow it to be, it can become a culture.
Yeah, it's a
right?
culture. Yep.
And it starts with like, if you won't let people talk to you about it, then your team's not going to act.
Yeah.
You know, they're not going to allow it either. And so when you go try to tell your team to do better, help your team do better, they're not going to listen to you if you don't act that way as well. But like, that's a great culture to have as a team.
Yeah.
That it's that humility and the lack of ego. Like ego from a sense that like, you want to win and you want your team to win, but you don't have to win within your team.
Exactly.
Like it's okay if you're not the smartest or someone else has a good idea.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So you guys were very productive together. You have a large team. How were you sourcing your VAs?
It was like one VA and then, hey, do you happen to know anybody else that would
that's
want
a
to work?
great way to do it.
Just a referral ways. Because it also keeps them accountable too as well. Like, hey, your cousin that you referred is not doing so well. Can you get on that? Yeah.
So you guys are still building still investing today, right?
Yeah, we're still investing right
your
now.
portfolio?
Yeah. We are taking a different turn today.
What does that look like?
So today we're doing curative title. So to give you premises of this, like fixing, flipping, wholesaling, all that stuff. Like another term with this is like reverse wholesaling, reverse flipping is what people call it, but it's not that quote unquote simple. Our market now is in Texas right now. So we actually target the county record list of tax delinquent leads, and then within tax delinquents we try to find death. Within death we try to find someone that hasn't done through probate. Within that particular part, if they don't have probate, great. Is the family, you can say, not talking to each other? Are they fighting? Are they bickering, right? Because maybe, Sally and John don't talk together. And then do they live at the property? Or they heirs of the property and they live there? If they don't, perfect. So we try to go in and resolve the family disputes while buying maybe their interest at the same time. And taxes could be like $10,000 or more. Obviously, they don't have the ability to pay for that taxes, and they're maybe facing a law tax suit, and then eventually a tax sale. So eventually, if they continue on not taking responsibility for their inheritance, then it's gonna be foreclosed on, right? So we come in and say, hey, like, did you know this is happening? Did you know this is happening? Did you know this is happening? Hey, would you want a solution for this? And we offer them amount of money to get them to walk away from the property, and then we actually fix the title itself. We pay for the taxes, we fix all the encumbrance, the judgments, the memorandums, whatever it is that the title is, like actually curing the title so it can be sold. And then we try to buy all the collective interest so that we can list it on the MLS. We make about on minimum high 5 figures to 6 figures on each deal without even swinging a hammer, asking a contractor to do anything. The most we'll do is clean out a property. That's all we'll do. So from start to finish is basically $75K minimum net profits on up. That's what we're looking for now.
Do you work with attorneys to do it?
Yeah, we have attorneys, we have genealogies. This model is crazy. This model is like, we got to build out family trees. We got to talk to attorneys. We got to understand the law. Like it's like a whole nother strategy that we can leverage versus like wholesaling is a straight linear transaction versus curative title work is there's multiple different pieces on the board that you have to see how they fit and how you can pull down different levers. So like wholesaling is checkers, curative title is like playing chess.
Right.
Yeah.
And there's a timeline bound. Like you can't do one thing before you do another thing. Like it's all probably got to be done in the right order and everything like that, or it's going to trip things up.
It can be. Yeah. For the legal standpoint, yes, that's correct. Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
What areas do you do that in?
We do in Texas.
That's what I thought you said. Why Texas?
Best laws for it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, judicial, like the judicial legal system is kind of built for that, and the systems and the access to information is pretty great.
Got it.
From there, so we can actually build a story and a case behind each lead and see if it actually is a viable lead to go after.
Is that where most of your like real estate? I know you're into some other stuff. We'll touch on that in a little bit.
Yeah.
Is that where most of your real estate effort and focus is heading right now?
Yeah, it's all gonna be in Texas right now. I still have properties in Richmond,
Of course.
Virginia, and then I have a couple of fix and flips here and there in Richmond, Virginia, but most of my efforts are going to go to Texas.
Cool. So before we hop on this new subject that I want to
Yeah.
touch on real quick is a couple quick questions for you. If someone is new to real estate and wants to get started or take a similar path that you took, would you recommend mentorship course? How would you recommend them start?
So how I did it was, I paid $38,000. I don't recommend anybody do that if you don't need to. YouTube University is probably your best way to go if you really wanted to, but it's a kind of a sporadic thing. If you want to kill the learning curve, I would tell you to go through a mentorship. I personally have one myself, but the thing is, I think mine's relatively inexpensive due to the value that I give versus the $38,000 course, right? Or you can just learn by yourself. There's like two ways to do anything, right? You can just learn the hard way and through School of Hard Knocks, or you can actually get handhold and then have someone walk you through the steps.
Accelerate.
Accelerate your learning, right?
Bit.
Yeah, it's like, do you have time or money is the ultimate, question.
Yeah. That is a good question to ask, because if you have all the time in the world, you might not have enough money, and you might need to take a different route, right? But if you have money and you don't have a whole lot of time, like you want to get rolling, the mentorship thing might be the. What's the name of your group?
Our group is New Breed Investors, and then I'm also doing another course just for the curative title stuff too as well. So that's its own separate beast.
Awesome.
It's like, I think you have like I would say pre-college and you have college kind of situation, right? You got to understand the fundamentals before you get into the advanced stuff.
Right. I feel like the advanced stuff might be more like a MBA.
Yeah.
It's a little bit. It's up there.
It's up there, right? You get a little legal and all this other stuff. Yeah.
That's awesome. So you own two landscape companies, right?
I do.
How'd you get into that, and why? Why get away from real estate? Because you're very successful. You and your partner are doing very well in real estate. Why look at a landscaping company?
What it came down to is just bigger cash flows, honestly speaking. And so I've always had the idea or wanted to know about how to buy businesses in a sense, but didn't have enough time to kind of pursue that when I was doing real estate. And so I guess a window of time opened up to where I could learn and where I could get mentorship. And again, I've paid a lot of money for mentorships. Paid another, I think, $10,000 to $13,000 just to get in, just to understand the lingo, understand the course, and understand like what am I getting myself into before I buy an actual business. Because at the end of the day, you want to buy something that you're not going to be able to perform on. I don't know how to perform on. So I actually wanted to buy a commercial kitchen hood cleaning business when I first looked into it, after doing a lot of research and all that stuff. The reason why is because it has low skill labor. Is very efficient on equipment. It's like basically a scrub and some soap, detergent, and all that stuff. It's really straightforward and simple. And everybody, for the most part, commercial kitchens need to be cleaned due to a regulation, right? Because it's a fire hazard, excuse me. So I actually was so niched down to where I couldn't find any businesses for sale. And so what I did was I took the real estate wholesale model and just put it into the M&A model. Mergers and acquisitions. And what I did was I just went nationwide. I went to go do Facebook ads, and I started to basically run ads for sellers to come in my pipeline, since I had a network of business buyers that wanted to buy business but didn't know how to market. So I try to wholesale businesses basically at the point in time, and I did pretty well. And since I got leads coming in, I would vet them. I would basically understand their business, and then I would pass them off into this group to see who wanted to buy them. And then I partnered with some other folks too as well. And another partner came up to me and say, I have a zero down landscaping business in Beaufort, Georgia, which is like northeast of Atlanta. And I'm like, cool, let me just dispo that real quick. Let me just see if I can find a person that buys it. And so the same group that I was in, he ended up buying it. But then the thing is, like, we had our assignment fee of $15,000. And he actually renegotiated with us, the buyer renegotiated with us and saying, hey, how about you guys, I rope you guys in for 10% each equity to do the acquisition side of things of the businesses. And so, like, when a person gives you a better offer than what you gave them, you're going to be like, yeah, of course I'll take that offer, right? So we end up basically marketing more for landscaping companies instead of a nationwide approach, because we want to go deeper. And then that's kind of how I got into the landscaping business. I didn't even want to get into the landscaping business in itself. So, I mean, that's kind of how it started.
Yeah, you just want to buy businesses.
And the cash flows.
There are several people I know that have recently bought businesses, and they're just in wild industries like that have nothing to do with that person, but they wanted to buy a business for the investment, but also to run a business. It's just a different thing to do, right?
It's a different beast. It's such a different beast.
What do you think about it so far? Like what are the challenges of owning a business versus owning real estate?
Oh, there's so many more challenges. Your personnel is the biggest thing, right?
I didn't want to say it. But yeah.
Personnel is the biggest thing, especially when you have a low, I won't say a low level skilled labor, but it's basically cutting grass, putting down mulch.
Right.
And we did have a hardscaping company, so it takes a little bit, or service I should say, it takes a little more skill. So personnel is one, marketing is another one, and then equipment was, I say the equipment was the second one.
Yeah.
Equipment was definitely huge because the margins are small, because if you're just doing maintenance, like your equipment's like freaking $5,000 for the mower. You're like, dude, I gotta cut a lot of grass to get this back. Trucks is another one. So that was another thing. And then the more you scale, the more equipment you got to buy.
Yep.
And then the cash conversion cycle is just longer. So now you're just fronting all this cash just for those months so that you can get that money back. Right. So understanding like a lot of different things that an actual home service business will take is just a whole nother animal, a whole nother beast.
Yeah. You look at NOI in real estate and you want to improve NOI. You look at like the NOI in a business and there's so many different efficiencies that go into it, down to each human that you have on your team, each truck, each component of equipment and everything. And there's just like, want to do better. Invest more money and then you can do better, or hire better people or more people or different software and technologies, and then now you have all these different licenses that you need, and then and now like people are calling out. The thing about growing a business versus growing a real estate portfolio is like, I kind of joke and say that like real estate doesn't talk back.
Yeah.
You know, like you are dealing, when you're building a business that at least has like, you know, a team that's going to grow. Let's take property management, for example. Like, we have tenants, we have clients, we have vendors, and we have our own team. And like, it is managing people and helping people make decisions on property, but it is managing people and communicating with people constantly. And if you can be responsive and communicate well with people, you'll be a successful property management company. Yeah. But like, it's insane the difference between, like, I have plenty of friends and buddies that are very successful real estate investors that don't own businesses. Yeah. And they're just like, it is a wildly different, and they've scaled to massive portfolios. Right. But it's still, and it has its own challenges and it has its own risk and it has its own skill set that it requires. I think what gets me, and maybe this is some of my ego coming out, quite honestly, is like, I'll call it out, where like you hear the real estate investors say that they own a company. Yeah. Right. And they're talking about it in a company, and to some degree, like you had 24 VAs, like you're running a company, right? But the idea is like, then they will go try to buy a business and they'll be like, oh, okay. It's a little bit different. And so
a little bit is
I don't want to split hairs. And the thing is props to both. If you're out there like growing a portfolio or building a business or doing both, hats off to you, because it's not easy regardless of what you're doing. But my point is that it is a different animal. And when you get into being you put on your entrepreneur hat, building a real estate portfolio, it's different than wearing an entrepreneur hat, owning a plumbing company or something like that. So it's awesome that you were interested in that, because I find both very intriguing. Yeah. Like if I had more time in my life, I would have a podcast that was about real estate investing and a podcast that was about business ownership. Right. I love both. I'm passionate about both of them. So I love the fact that you went out on a limb. One, you're doing some really creative stuff in real estate. Two, I respect you because of your jujitsu prowess as well. But also, like, just going out on a limb and buying some landscaping companies is pretty cool. Do you think you're going to go deeper down that road, or just look at different businesses?
We're just going to I'm going to probably just see how this goes in the next 2 years, let it ride out, and then just do an exit, just for a successful exit per se. Right. Just stabilize it, and then basically see how the sell side of things happen. At this point in time, like, I'm just probably looking to build more of a community at this point in time in my life, helping other people out, because I feel like that's way more rewarding, more fulfilling than making more money.
It is. Yeah, you're correct. Yeah. And it oddly helps you make more money.
Yeah, it does.
But like I've said before that like I used to be a personal trainer back in the day, and just being able to write out programs for people and then watching them hit their goals is the most fulfilling thing ever. And now like I try to translate that to real estate of like if I can help people find better returns or be happier with their investments and they can do different things with their life or grow their portfolio, like I'm going to do that all day long. But there is something like straight up about like writing a program, helping someone get happier, stronger, healthier, where like if you're building communities and mentoring people, you get to help them get out of whatever situation they're in, enter into a new financial status, financial freedom, time freedom, etc.
Yeah, I think it's like also rewarding in the sense of like you're actually making an impact on someone's life.
Yep.
Yeah, that's like the most, I guess, fulfilling thing, and like it just warms the heart. It really does. Yeah. Tell
us what you're getting into. Like, how can people find you or get in touch with you?
So you can reach me I'm mostly active on Instagram. My Instagram handle is Phillip, 2 L's, Phillip. My middle initial H, and then my last name Thai, Thai. And you can get me there. And then I also have a YouTube channel. Same thing, Phillip H Thai. You can find me there. I'm always pushing out content in regards to real estate and business. And then also I do a live stream now every Tuesday at 6 p.m.
Awesome.
Yeah, Eastern Standard Time.
Yeah, you get some good content you're putting out, like a lot of helpful information.
It's a lot of work, though.
Yeah.
It's a lot of work.
I don't know how you're juggling the landscaping, the investments in Texas, your Virginia investments. Any final thoughts?
There's a lot of things in life, right? There's like you go through your personal life, you go through your financial life. I think business, entrepreneurship is a good teacher for both. It helps you become mentally stable. It helps you with financial stuff. And if you actually need help, like honestly, you have people like us that can help you guys. But I guess find your purpose is the most important part, in my opinion. Just find your purpose, find your why, and then just go and get after it. And I can't, and I would say this the last thing, like your mindset is like honestly like everything. Even though I like kind of feel a certain way about like cringe when I first heard it, I understand over the years it's been such a transformative thing in my life to where like I ultimately want to get more mindset like unlocks in life to where I can think bigger, I can grow faster, I can move towards my goal with velocity rather than just stuck in comfortability. Yeah, stay humble and just stay uncomfortable is what I'll say to that.
Well said. Well said. And Phillip, I appreciate what you're doing and the success that you had. I know it hasn't been easy. And even just hearing your story about what you've been through, again, like when I hear this, I think it's awesome. It's awesome in the sense that you've had to face such challenges, whether self-imposed or not, because some of those you're just not mature. You make bad decisions. There's things that you do that you just don't fully think through. But it's still a challenge in life that you have to face and you have to overcome regardless of what happened, right? And so you've had to face these challenges and you've had to get through depression and kind of pulling yourself up and finding a purpose again in life. And then you've transitioned through that to finding financial freedom and time freedom and buying companies. And it's just incredible what you've done. You have an awesome story. And now I'm really happy to hear that you are mentoring people and spending your time giving back. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast and sharing your story. And I really appreciate it, man. It's good talking to you.
Likewise, man. Thank you so much for having me on, bro.